Tapahtuma alkaa. No niin. Nyt sen pitäisi näkyä sit, kato. Täällä.
Teemme vielä ainakin luku odota hetki. Mä lataisin sen tiedoston ja uploadasin sen tonne, mutta...
Tää menee kohta siihen, että me säädetään tän kanssa. No tossa näkyy se sun linkkissä, jos katsot. Niin, saat se mun kunnollinen iso tai sitten jos sulla on kiirettä, niin sanoo mulle puhelinnumeron, mihin voi soittaa. No, ei saa vaikka markkinointia, että käydä tänään jotain eilen. Meillä eilen. You'll be there the whole day, so you're not exactly there for a hour. Anyway,
Jotenkuten, mutta tää ainakin vähän kyllä tökkii tässä nyt. Mikä verkko sulla on täällä käytössä? Miktek Visitor, mitä jos me otetaan jotain konferenssia yhdistä?
Miktek VL on 2. Se on varmaan aika järeinen.
I don't know where it's been from, but
Nyt se väitti vähän aikaa, että hyvä. Nyt en mä tiedä.
Teknisten ongelmien. Kuuluuko se täällä?
En mä tiedä, mulla on muutama sellainen. Kyllä se pitäisi kuulua, mutta se, en tiedä, että ottaa se läppärin mikko, me voi olla vähän kiinni.
Mut hei,
Tuossa on tässä.
Joo. Lähdetkö mulle sähköpostia? Anteeksi, ei minä tiedä. Mä voin ottaa valokuvaamista puhelimella.
Joo, mä muistan sen aina.
She didn't answer, and she promised to get back in the evening, and she didn't because she was too busy Facebooking. And remember what happened when I agreed on that meeting?
Yeah, I remember. That's why I'm saying, I mean, the physically, unless you go to the place and store it, there is nothing more to do.
Sami voi olla siellä päättämässä kaiken.
Yeah, no, this one was
Yeah, if you're better than someone. Anyway, we are.
Hei, laita jos pääsen huomenna, niin laita mulle Facebookiin muistin, että mitä se käy. Niin laita tuli Facebookiin mulle päivänä ja alkaa käyttää. Laita suoraan. Rahaa. Ja se on se niinku... Se menee aina. Hei. Mutta mä sanon Anniin huomenna.
I don't know why.
Mikä minkä se on?
We are still.
No, that's really
Yeah, of course, but
Ehkä niin olisi tullut. Ehkä siitä tulisi jokainen järjestää. Jokaista ei ole mitään
Me too. I need to hear about
Okay, we can start. Do you have your presentation?
I don't have the clock. Can I send it to you? Actually, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Would that work for you?
Just a second. If you want, you can sign your name, and this is just a participant for this event. Okay. Good evening, and welcome to our event Funding Your Company. We have tonight here people from Investor, the crowdfunding company, Andrea.
Hi.
And Nora. They will give us a presentation first, like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then questions about crowdfunding. And then we have a discussion on about business angels and how you should act with business angels, do's and don'ts. I think there's someone behind the door. I will see. But and then we were supposed to have Jari Räihä from TEKES also tonight here, but Jari is unfortunately in a meeting in Helsinki, and he sent me a PowerPoint presentation on TEKES services and TEKES funding opportunities for companies and entrepreneurs. So there is a list where you can leave your name and the name of your company and your email address. So I can send to you the slideshow which Jari sent to me. Okay. So, is there any questions on this event right now on your mind? I think I can give the floor and stage to Andrea and Nora. I just check your presentation from here. Actually, is here anyone who has used any crowdfunding services? Or sorry? Yeah, you're Diana. Yeah.
What are
Okay.
you writing
Nice to meet
about?
you.
What are you writing about?
Basically, this company they make an application and they want to use crowdfunding, but they do not know anything about it. And the main problem is that they do not have an established social media community, which is I think the crowdfunding. And so it's actually case today in the session.
Okay, it's really. So I hope this is useful.
Absolutely.
Doesn't count. Try it.
Okay. If we can cope with our... Okay, and then... Okay, we can start.
Does this work for the slide?
No.
I can just wait and look.
Yeah. Just...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, thanks for inviting us here. My name is Andrea Di Pietrantonio. I work in operation and sale at Investor OY. I joined Investor in February 2013, and I mostly focus on company acquisition, company screening, and helping the companies getting ready for their funding round. Some words on Investor and on crowdfunding today. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Just stop me if you have any questions or if something is not clear. So first of all, we want to start with a bit of an idea of what is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a really broad topic that is quite popular nowadays, but it's a relatively old concept. Basically, it means having a crowd of people committing capital together for a certain goal. The advantage of crowdfunding is that it's an alternative source of seed funding for projects. It gives the opportunity to entrepreneurs to access more capital than what they would access otherwise, and also allows investors to contribute more directly to the creation of new ventures. However, crowdfunding has different forms that actually create different segments. First the market. So the market of crowdfunding is quite big, and 2013 has seen most of the market focusing in the US, with Europe following up. Europe is catching up quite quickly, as well as other parts of the world. Of course, the US market, for example, is really developed in reward crowdfunding, while Europe is stronger in equity and debt crowdfunding. Equity and debt, as well as rewards, are some of the categories of the crowdfunding market. Each category is almost an industry per se. So donation-based crowdfunding is the, let's say, simplest category, in the sense that it basically involves people that want to donate for a project, let's say Red Cross, and they can do it through donation-based crowdfunding platforms. Actually, donation-based crowdfunding is heavily regulated in Finland. Reward-based crowdfunding is the most popular segment of the industry from a commercial point of view. That's where, for example, Kickstarter and Indiegogo operate. So how it works is that I have a project, people can give money for the project, and they receive or the product or a prototype or some other kind of rewards back. Then there are two other kinds of crowdfunding, which are lending-based crowdfunding and equity crowdfunding, that deal with securities of the company. At Investor, we focus on equity-based crowdfunding. So it's always an involvement of an existing company, which is registered, OY in Finland, that is looking for investors. And through Investor, they can reach investors of different categories, so smaller and bigger investors. So people that commit money through equity crowdfunding, they then become shareholders of the company. They don't receive a reward. They can, but the main thing is that they become shareholder of the company. The equity crowdfunding segment is the one which is growing the most at the moment. Was only $116,000 million in 2012, and is expected to grow into up to 1,000 million in 2014 this year, although the latest estimation not out yet. But what is happening is that crowdfunding is evolving in a new source of finance for companies. Actually, equity crowdfunding is not an alternative to business angel, but is actually a complementary tool for companies to raise funding and to access the capital markets. So, a few words on Investor, who we are and why we are here. We are a Finnish company funded in mid-2012. We aim at building a leading equity-based crowdfunding marketplace in Europe. We are actually focusing on the Nordic market at the moment. We have a team of industry professionals. The background of the founders is in investment banking and finance and law, mostly. We have an open, transparent, scalable model and an impressive list of global firsts. So we try to be on the cutting edge of the innovation of the industry. So always trying to innovate on the relatively young sector of crowdfunding. We are relatively big in Finland. There is this study from the financial minister. We have in 2013 60% of the market of equity crowdfunding, and we expect to be the same or better levels by the end at the end of this year. So these are just quickly some of the people in the board, as well as some of the team members. Last is our CEO with a background in Merrill Lynch, Kone, and Ice Capital. Timo Lappi is founder of Fondia, Tero Vekus, as well a financial background. Mikko Bergman is MD of Summa Capital, which is a Finnish investment bank, and Petteri Puutiainen with a background in Oracle. Another note is that Investor established a bridge between growth company and traditional finance by having the two investments from two Finnish wealth management companies. One is called Talleri Tedas and the other one is called Alexandria. They both own a bit less than 10% of Investor. This is part of the team, me, Nora, Mikko, Petteri, and myself, just to show some phases of the platform. So far what we received, actually this should be a bit updated. So we received around 380 applications on the platform, so companies that they were looking for funding, of which 72 were accepted. So they actually satisfied the minimum criteria which are needed to start a fundraising campaign through us. We will go later through the criteria. And 21, as of yesterday, 22 were successful, so they reached their minimum funding goal. We had the latest successful round yesterday. It's a company in the ceramic business. We have now 2.8 million raised, invested or collected for our client companies, and more than 2,000 individual investments. To give us some numbers and give dimension, what happened in a crowdfunding round is that it's a mix of bigger and smaller investments. So there are some typical investments like business angels. The biggest investment so far is 100,000 euro. And usually there are, for example, investments of 20,000, 30,000 euro, and then some smaller investors together with them, which are in the range of, let's say, from 200 to 1,000 euro. The advantage is that, of course, angels can participate as well as smaller people, and they still get different percentage of the company, and they benefit from different advantages. So let's say an angel investing in crowdfunding most likely will have negotiated a board seat with the company, while smaller investors, they just have equity and maybe a minority shareholder agreement that regulates what their rights are within the cap table. Moreover, we are the first equity crowdfunding platform to launch a secondary market for a crowdfunding company in cooperation with Privanet. What it means is that if a company raises funding through us, the investors, they can go then on Privanet and offer the shares, so they can create an exit opportunity. So what happens, especially with non-tech companies, is that the company might get profitable, but there is not an exit opportunity, especially in Europe. Or the entrepreneur does not want to sell the company. On the other side, investors, they might need the money, or they might just want to sell their own shares. So this is a way to create, let's say, primitive kind of stock exchange, so that investors can still sell their own shares and entrepreneurs still have, the control over the company. We had, as mentioned, the first real cooperation with established wealth management companies, and we had the first live equity crowdfunding event ever. It was last year in Helsinki, during Pitch Helsinki, during which one company raised the minimum was actually 20,000 in 16 hours. It was a live streamed event, and they raised the money within the day. We're also members of the Nordic Crowdfunding Alliance. It's a Nordic innovation project, and we work with them to promote equity crowdfunding and entrepreneurship in the Nordics. We're actually having an event next week in Helsinki to promote crowdfunding with different panel discussion. Just tell me if I go too fast. I'm trying to be as synthetic as possible, but I'm afraid I missed some points, so just stop me in case. And here we have also some of our media coverage. So one thing which I think is interesting, I actually explain better what happens in crowdfunding, is to look at some of the successful pitches. So what happened, what kind of successful companies do we have in crowdfunding? So this is the first example. This is Suppilo. It's an e-commerce platform in the B2B business. There is around 130,000 euro from 39 investors. So if you look at this, it's kind of boring from a crowdfunding perspective, in the sense that it does not have social media basis, as you mentioned. What they add is a good customer base. So the big point in crowdfunding, as discussed this afternoon, is that the social media, the social network, is not only Facebook. Social network is the kind of potential investors that might see value in investing in the company. So in their case, the customers have seen value, and how they speak with the customer usually is via fax machine. So they sent the pitch via fax, and people invested. So that was their social network in that case. Another kind is Hakala, which is a different kind of company. There is 82,000 euro, and that's basically a community for muscle cars. So it's something that is really community oriented. In that case, the attachment to the community is the main driver for investment in equity crowdfunding. People invest in this more because they want to be part of the community rather than an actual potential financial return from the investments. Then we have Bryggeri, which is basically a brewery in the center of Helsinki. They actually did 2 rounds to us. It's really interesting because when it comes to brewery, the investment is not only financial but also status and self-expression, because it's nice to say, okay, this is my beer. Basically, you can go to a place and recognize yourself in there. Gita is a fashion company. I'm jumping a bit around, but it's to give an overview of the kind of companies that have been successful to us. Gita raised 288,000 euro with 74 investors. That was really interesting case because it was a company with some traction already in the US and UK, and people have seen a financial opportunity in the international expansion in the company and then decided to jump in. And then finally, we have Iron Sky. I guess, do you know the movie Iron Sky, the one with the Nazis on the moon? They did a round to us last spring, and it was really interesting because they raised 256,000 euro in 10 days. So they are really committed community. They are 1/3 of the capital coming from outside Finland, and they have investors from 28 different countries. So it was an impressive round, really short but really effective. And then finally we have our service. We used our own service in this June. We did a hidden round, so it was not public for everyone, but we only shared it with people that had already invested through us, so our existing clients. We shared with them, and we raised 290,000 euro, and we now have 135 investors. We had our first shareholder meeting last week. It was actually a really interesting experience and really nice. We had some of the investors coming, it was around 30 people, and it was really nice because you see people that own the majority of the company, you see people that maybe own like 0.001%. So how does crowdfunding work? What's the process? So this is the process for a company applying, for example. So how it works is that it's divided in 3, let's say 4 main steps. The first one is creating the application, so working on the business plan, working on the formal documents, and doing formal check from our side, and preparing also the marketing on the round. So the entrepreneur will do the application, they give the material, an investor on the other side will always check the material that they send. We do formal checks to understand whether there are payment default or there are some irregularities in the company. If there are some red lights, they go back and they need to fix it, or they just don't proceed in the process. Once we have all green lights and they satisfy all the criteria, they're able to proceed. The first step then to start raising funding is the hidden phase. The hidden phase, it means that there is this link that the company receives, and they can start sharing it with their closer network or with people that they want on board at first. So let's say they have a business angel that they know has a particular interest and they want to invest before others, or has negotiated that they will invest before. So that's the moment in which they actually put some money in, as well as, let's say, a closer network. It's really important in this phase to have some traction and to have some investment in. Usually we recommend to reach more or less 30% of the investment. The rule is that when then it goes public, basically no one wants to enter in an empty restaurant. People always invest when they see traction. If no one is investing, it's more difficult than to generate investments in the public phase. Then we have the public phase. During the public phase, the most important thing for the entrepreneur is to market the share offering actively. As investor, we are a matching service. We do not sell the shares of the companies. Of course, we do advertisement of our service, and we always feature the company in our press release, in our newsletter to 15,000 contacts, as well as all the social media and the events that we do. And then finally, when the round ends, there are 2 possibilities. It can be successful and not successful. So there is a minimum that the company decides. If the minimum is reached, the round is successful, at that point the entrepreneur can go through the list of the people who have invested and accept or reject the investors. So let's say there is a competitor or there is someone you don't want in the company, you can just reject it and then he will receive the money back and he won't become an investor. Once the shareholders are approved, we transfer the money and invoice our success fee, and the company then registers the shareholders. If it is unsuccessful, we notify that to the investors and we return the money to the investors. The reason is that there is a minimum. If you say that you need 100,000 to do something and you don't reach 100,000, it means you can't satisfy what you've been promising. So it's fair for the investors to receive the money back. In the case, unfortunately, the round is unsuccessful and we don't bill the company. So just quickly some requirements for the crowdfunding round. In Finland, it's possible to have an open round on the platform for up to 1.5 million euro. Some of the documents that are required are the extract from the trade register, the article of association, the list of shareholder, the latest available account, and the shareholder decision of issuing the share offering. It sounds really long. It's actually all formal documents that the company has from when they're funded, or they can actually easily have with the shareholders. So what happens when a company actually decides to go crowdfunding? What kind of rights do they have to give? Now, the problem is that some companies, they might benefit to give out the same shares that they have to the investors. Some companies, they might say, okay, we just want small investors and we don't want them to have too much say in the company. So we want to give less voting rights. Or some companies, even they might want to go for a VC round later on, or they want to have more control on the entrepreneurs, so they want to use a minority shareholder agreement. It's possible to use all the options. As investor, we give all the options to the company and we assist them in any case. Then it's the company that needs to decide. So we have, for example, Climb Station, which is a successful round who had A shares offering. So same kind of shares of the entrepreneur, and they successfully raised a funding round. We had a Havina, they offer B shares, so let's say with a bit less voting rights, and they raised 35,000 euro earlier this year. And then we had Play My Song and our service as well, that we used a minority shareholder agreement. So a short shareholder agreement with tag along and drag along clauses for the investors. So when they invest, especially the small investors, they need to sign the agreement so that it's easier for the board to control the rights of the investors, and it's easier, let's say, if there is a VC investment coming in, to then have a clear cap table. It's really interesting the case of Play My Song actually, because Play My Song received investment from angels and the Lifeline Venture first, and then it came to us. So that's actually really significant because the VC fund actually approved and liked the agreement, so it was quite a smooth process for that. So finally, what happens with a crowdfunding round? What works and what doesn't work? So the most important thing here is networking. The social networks, the networks of the entrepreneur, being out there and promoting the pitch to the right potential investors is what makes the difference between a successful and unsuccessful pitch. Then we have attractive presentation. It means that it needs to be catchy. It needs to be easy to understand, and it needs to be not too long or not too short. So the right length for people to understand whether it makes sense or not for them to invest. And then finally, a good preparation. So preparing a round in advance is really important. Some of them actually start preparing more than 1 month before, because it takes time to market a crowdfunding round, and it takes time to be out there, to do all the marketing and attend all the events. And all that time during the round then goes away from the normal operation of the company. So it's really important to plan in advance. Okay, I was a rush, but I hope it was clear. Do you have any questions? Was I on time? Sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Okay, good. That was quite quick.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you think what else is crowdfunding, for example, equity crowdfunding resulting in for the companies? Because, for example, during the rework crowdfunding, people get a lot of feedback, and sometimes they're given an opportunity to give ideas about product development and things like that. What about the equity crowdfunding?
The advantage of equity crowdfunding over reward crowdfunding is that you can engage people both on an investor perspective and a marketing perspective. So I will divide the kind of investors, because in equity crowdfunding we have bigger investors like angels and smaller investors, which are more similar to consumers. So big investors are useful if they can help, like angels usually help. But the advantage of small investors also is important, because of course there is a marketing and visibility leverage that you can use. From a commercial point of view, they can be used for internationalization project. We had a case which is actually Climate Station that has a clause that says that if the investors they sell the product, they get a royalty. So they received investors from 6 different countries. So potentially, of course, it's not an established network, but still it's a step to get outside. So it's really good to have this kind of connection. Then the advantage of equity over reward for these kind of things is that equity is for the long term, it's for the long run. So you engage these people, and these people will help you, the investors, they will help you develop the company if you ask help from them. While reward is more of a consumption experience. For some cases, the company might benefit from reward crowdfunding, from some cases might benefit from equity crowdfunding. It really depends. They're not substitutes. But overall, I would say that equity crowdfunding investors can provide value, which is not only financial, but if it can be expertise, it can be contacts, and it can be marketing. And marketing is important.
Yeah, and consequently, generally, at least in Finland, I don't dare to give numbers, but I think equity crowdfunding run is generally quite a bit. There's more money involved. Just
Yep. Actually, I was looking at our successful rounds. The average is 108,000 euro of the 22 successful rounds. So it's more money involved compared to the average. Yep. Good. Other question? Yeah.
What is your success fee?
So our pricing model is divided in 2 parts. One is a listing fee of 500 euro, and then a success fee of 6% if the run is successful. Otherwise, it's not successful. So we have our interest is aligned on both sides in that. We try to be in the middle. So, yep.
Can you change back the previous slide? I just want to concentrate very well doing it. So,
Sorry. Do you go too fast
no,
through the presentation? Okay. Just feel free to ask other questions if you have questions.
So for what kind of companies is equity-based crowdfunding suitable or valuable?
So best company is the one with an easy concept to understand. Usually the more successful ones are the B2C ones. B2B can work if the company has an established network. Otherwise it's more difficult. So easy concept, B2C company. The stage of the company depends. We had mostly companies with a bit of track records, but also seed companies. That really depends on where the company is, which kind of development it has and what it needs. Yeah.
What's a typical person that invests in crowdfunding?
So usually it's someone that already has an investment portfolio and wants to diversify. A big thing in equity crowdfunding from an investor perspective is that for us it's really important to signal the risk which is behind an investment crowdfunding. It's really risky activity, and there are high chances that the company fails. So that's something that has to be done in a conscious way from the investor point of view. So usually it's people that they want to diversify and they try different sums. Consider that on our investor community, for example, we have seen that around 40% of them have invested in more than one company, and over 30% of them in more than 2 companies. So what happens is that they try with the first company, maybe a small sum, then they try the second company, the third company. So the kind of community we're building and we're trying to build, it's a community of people that diversifies a bit their portfolio and puts a bit of their investments in each of the company they like, of course. It's up to them.
international US community markets?
I think it could. We are increasing the amount of, the amount of international investment is increasing compared, for example, to previous year, and we are trying to boost this kind of investment, because I think that the future of equity crowdfunding is in cross national investment, especially for a country like Finland. It benefits a lot from money coming from abroad. The equity crowdfunding market at the moment, especially in Europe, is really nation specific, because there are various regulations, so it's difficult to jump from a nation to the other. I think it could benefit because it could get the opportunity to get traction here and to get traction outside, as well as seed funding. Then, of course, it depends on the kind of company, how much they want to focus here and how much they want to focus in the US. If you think equity versus reward crowdfunding and you think of a website like Kickstarter is strongly US based. So that will give you an audience of US people, but from a reward perspective. We will give less of an audience of US people, but we will create a different kind of, different kind of campaign, because usually it's a higher sum and higher engagement of the people that contribute to the campaign. So it's two different choices. If you want US consumers, maybe Kickstarter, it's more suitable. But if you want investors to start out, test the product, and get the first investment, I think equity crowdfunding can be a viable way to invest, of course.
And do you have any data on the amount of investors coming from abroad compared to traditional?
It depends. At the moment, the round with more international investors was Iron Sky, where 30% of international ones. The majority of all of those were from Germany, actually. We are quite Europe-centric. Also, because from US there are more restrictions on the investment from their side. So it's possible to invest internationally, but it depends, of course, on the national law of the investors. Some national law might be more restrictive, because for us it's fine to receive the money, but extreme case, an Islander investor can't invest outside Iceland. That's their law. They can't send Icelandic money outside. So for us it's fine to receive it, but for him it would not be fine to actually send the money. So, yeah.
If you compare crowdfunding to VCs and angels, what are the main benefits? Is the money cheaper? Is it easier to get? What do you think?
Look, money are never cheap. It's always hard work. Crowdfunding is not exclusive. It's actually, we are partners with FIBA, and we're organizing events together. Crowdfunding, I would say, is the general purpose technology behind the fact that the fundraising part. Angels might be involved or might not be involved. The big difference in crowdfunding usually is that the entrepreneur sets the valuation, sets the price. That gives an entrepreneur a higher degree of responsibility, because you can say, my company, I just started and it's worth 10 million euro, but then no one will invest. So you need to be balanced on what you offer. From an angel perspective, how it works in Finland, because it's quite a small environment, in theory is that you already have a sense of what angels might go for, and then you can align to those kind of prices, because the market is small, so you know what the prices are. VC investments are a bit different. There is a first case in Finland, for example, of a company that did equity crowdfunding and then received investment from VC, from venture. And that is possible. So far, we did not receive investments of VC for crowdfunding. We had angels involved, but we're working on VC.
If you compare like valuations on those angels,
they are more or less the same. We had at the beginning they were higher, but now the price they're more or less the same. It might change for some companies, especially when it comes, for example, for restaurant and breweries, because those are not the kind of investment the angel do. So they can maybe have a bit of a higher valuation. But when it comes to tech company, usually the valuation are the same of angel ones. It's crowdfunding is inclusive of angels, but of course they give you the possibility to capitalize on other sources as well.
You have problems with valuations of your customers. Do you accept anything?
So from our side, what we learn is that we can maybe say, okay, look, this is a bit too high. The best thing is to say maybe, look, this is a bit too high if the customer is not reasonable, because as an entrepreneur, you know what your valuation. I mean, you have an idea which range to go to. When the customer is not reasonable, usually they come back and they lower it, because then some angel says that it's too high. We had a representative case in this year of a company that started with a 1.7 million pre-money valuation, went out, then lowered it to 1.5, then received a feedback from an angel and lowered it to 500,000 euros. So they lost 1.3 million, and it's just 1.2 million, but it's just it's bad visibility for the company, and it is not convincing the angel either, because the angel says, okay, but this is just too high. So at that point, the entrepreneur might have avoided the situation by being more responsible, but that's our trial and error process. Valuation is really subjective, actually. Okay.
Well, what kind of information do you give to these investors, like something that they can evaluate the firm from, like income statements or?
So they have all the information about the business plan on the website. When the pitch is public, it's public. So story of the company, business plan, the market, who is in the team with the link to the LinkedIn and all the information about them, how the funds will be used, the risk that the company have, a small financial forecast, the funding document and all the formal documents of the company, and the latest available accounts. And if the company provides it, additional documents. Usually how it goes is that there is everything in the pitch, and then when it comes to a bigger investor, maybe they want to meet the company, so in that case they just meet it and they can ask for more information. It's fine to us. Good. Any other questions or? Just if you want, we can also discuss it a bit later, I guess. But then at a certain point we go back to Helsinki. So feel free to ask questions if you have any. You can leave our contact details if you have any other question you want to ask us. Okay.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks.
Okay, there was a question on our event page on Facebook. What kind of wings does business angel have? So, have anyone seen any business angels? Have you met any business angels?
There was this one guy who offered me a beer last summer.
I think I was in the jacuzzi in one investor. In Oulu.
In Oulu Midnight Kitchen. So, did he have wings?
I'm not sure. He was kind of naked.
Okay. I think we have one or two guys who have some experience about business angels, or how should you operate with business angels? Do we have? Okay. Can you come?
No wings.
No, they have wings. They're very small and black leather.
Okay. I think we should have a short discussion on business angels, and we can write down some do's and don'ts. How should you operate with business angels, and how should you not operate with business angels? Because we were supposed to have a business angel Heikki Sundqvist here today, but we don't have him here. He's in Helsinki, so that's our bad. So we have to take as a easygoing discussion this issue. Tommi, welcome. Can you tell us who you are? It's okay.
Okay. Hello everybody. My name is Tommi Kaivola and I'm from a company called Service OY, which most of you in the audience know. Some who doesn't, maybe a couple of words. We were established in the very late of 2010 and we are doing IT, mobile, web services based on our own, let's say, data collection platform. At the moment we are providing several different, let's say, web services which have, some of them are like social media and some of them are e-learning, and then we have some customized solutions and services as well. We are approximately 12 or 13 people at the moment, and today, this year we will get around 450,000 euros turnover approximately. We have now around 400 and we have grown. Even though we haven't any investor inside our company so far, we have grown quite fast. We started only 3 years ago with 3 entrepreneurs. So now we are close to 500 million at the moment. And we are in the phase, we are looking for investors because we have seen that the IT and web services is not possible to grow fast without an investor. And that's what we have done so far. Personally, I have been locally here for many years. I have a long history in environments, so why which is in this building. Doing weird stuff on the military market. I was there 17 years.
Is that their slogan? Doing weird stuff for military?
They should have it, because they are really doing it in a many ways. Even these days they are a little bit weird. Good example of and we have my colleagues there as well. So, Mr. Timo. And what else I was supposed to tell?
Some experiences with business angels.
Oh, okay, yes.
Not the dirty ones.
No one, there are some investors here, so I have to really look what I'm going to say.
You don't judge.
If it would be only Heikki, then I can speak with
Yeah. Mr. Timo.
Mr. Timo, yes. You can put Mr. Timo P.
Okay.
That suits to be. Okay, I don't know about do's and don'ts. It's a little bit risky and difficult to say that, but right from the beginning in our case, because most of us, we are engineers, and me and Timo, we don't have any coding background, so we have done commercial things and management things in our future, but in our past. But still, we have a little bit difficult to explain for the investors our business ideas, so we start from the very basic. So at least one thing what we have learned within, let's say, 2 years is that you have to crystallize the business idea. And hopefully it's a very simple and not to mention the business logic, which we are in the field and in the area that both of them are very complex at the moment, because we have technology behind it, we have created a platform and we create our own services in our own platform. And then we create business and one part of the business that we are developing mobile services that are free for the end users. So at this point already most of the investors will go away because they don't understand if we are developing something and nobody's paying it, then there's no money. So we have seen that there is a lot of difficulties. And the other one is that the area also where we are working is changing very fast. And this is also a little bit challenging to explain, because if we have an idea and the investor is waiting for 8 or 16 months, the idea is already gone. Somebody has done it, or then some bunch of coders will do something and launch it for free, and they ruin the market, and then they run away. And there is no business anymore. And what else? From the IT world, again, some of the business angels or investors, they are also looking for patents or some kind of guarantees for warranties or whatever. We don't have, we have not. If we go to the bank and we ask for a loan, they will ask how many patents or what do we owe. We have nothing. So it's a little bit difficult to explain. So you have to sell them the idea and the vision and tell them that this needs an invest, and if we get the invest, the business can grow very fast. Because in this world you can really make relatively big business in relatively short time. Believe it or not, you can still do it. And also, okay, it goes with the business idea. Let's say the challenge is to explain the business idea and create a crystal clear business idea. And we are still moving at the moment in the B2B world. And then that we have seen a little bit. Like the investor told that you are also focusing on B2C because then you can explain the idea more.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have something coming to that one. So we have learned something that, okay, Mr. Timo
I
P.
just want to comment on that B2B idea. Basically, you're right. Our customers are basically business providers. To be frank, we actually are in B2C because the applications and the services we provide, they are used by consumers, let's say civilians. Although they don't pay for it, we have an organization who wants to provide that service to their customers, and we are the ones that create or output that service. So in this field, it's a lot of vague concept. Are you indeed B2B or B2C? But basically, at the end of the day, almost any company in this field, when you talk about mobile services and all that, they are in B2C, regardless who's paying for that service. As soon as your end customer is consumer, it doesn't really matter who pays for it. You have to design the product according to the consumer market. That's important for you. And also, I'd like to comment on that where you said about business idea, and like when we started, when we started to explain that, I was thinking like, oh God, not again, because that's the way we used to start our pitch. We have our platform, we have our technology, we have this and that. We're doing these gadgets, we're doing this software. Nobody cares. I mean, never start your pitch, and don't go. If you go to business agents, don't talk about your technology. Because nobody gives a damn. The only way to get any interest out of the go-aheads, business agents, is to try to figure out what is your business case. You need to have crystal clear business case. Who are your customers? How are you going to make the money? And where's the market? And very important, how are you going to grow? And how fast are you going to grow? These are the items that the investors are looking for. They don't care. I mean, if you have a red or blue car, but it's a bike. Technology is irrelevant. The commercial solution is the only thing that matters, because they only want to know how fast they can get their money back and how much they can make money with that investment. That's the whole deal. That's what we've learned within these 2-3 years. That we started like Tommy said, basically engineer-based company. Thank God I'm not an engineer. And but that's what Finnish engineers do. They design a product that they think it sells itself. And that doesn't work. Nobody cares. You have to sell it, and you have to figure out how to sell it and how to make that money.
So which were the 4 points of the 4 points?
4 points?
Yeah.
Well, right
in pitching.
Yeah, it's like clarify your business idea.
Mm-hmm.
Be fast, well, that's one thing. Did I have 4 points?
Yeah. You said four basic or main things when you're talking with business angel. Okay. Yeah. I have to I have to remind me.
You should make notes for us.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
who are the customers?
The business case.
Because this is the point. We have had a lot of like training with pitching, like all the Ahjo accelerator program teams, and there's like always some differences between with whom you are speaking.
Oh, that's true, because sometimes everybody says that the team is the most important thing. Bullshit. Nobody cares about the team if you have a dynamite product and dynamite business idea. But if your business idea or the business logic is not clear, then you better have a really good team. Of course, they need to know that, but that, again, some investors, they want to know the team, they want to understand the team, and they want to see a good interaction with the team and all that. But at the end of the day, if you don't have your business case,
Many times the investor has told us that you have a great team.
yeah, we still don't have money.
In the beginning we didn't know that. It means that I don't understand what the hell you are doing, but you are nice guys.
So
But now we know.
Do you remember?
How fast can it grow?
Yeah.
The last point was like an exit plan for investors.
And then quite often they also
Nice
ask,
guy. He's making notes.
usually they ask, I don't know about you, but they can also ask how can you grow fast. Whatever you have told them, they might ask how can you grow fast.
That's the city question. You know, you have just told the
everything
investor
what
or
you have, then they say that can you do more?
Yeah. More, yeah, like cheaper. How you can do that cheaper and faster? Yeah.
Can I add one thing? I think you had a really interesting point on the angels looking for exit. I mean, especially when it comes to a tech company, some kind of exit, of course, is necessary for the investor. But I think there's a difference between angels that just want to milk an exit within, let's say, 3 to 5 years. That never happens. And angels that actually want to work with the company, and those are the good ones. That see an exit between 10 to 10 years, because those are the exits that are actually successful. But there is one WhatsApp, one Instagram kind of company. All the other companies are the one that takes 15 years to actually generate money, and it takes time to make money. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's just a really small outlier that makes this kind of exit like WhatsApp. But the good investors, I think they can see the value and they can understand the patient that they need behind it.
There's only that few good investors. I mean, most of them are looking for new Angry Birds, because Angry Birds and Supersoft basically have ruined the Finnish investment scene.
Yeah, but if you think about Angry Birds, it did not generate an exit yet for the investors. I mean, unless they sold to other investors, the money is still there. They did not go from an initial public offering, and they're not going to go now. So it's still, yes, it's value, but it's difficult to get this value out now. So, and it might take still more time to get it out. Sorry.
No, that's a good point. And do you have other questions, or do you have some points to make clear?
Speaking about the technologies, in our business area, I really don't like philosophy. There are also some other, maybe even in Kimmo's case, even the technical points are valid. Because then on the other hand, you have a pattern behind technology and so on. But you have to really prepare to your business ideas. But in the IT world, forget it. It was really difficult for us. It took almost 3 years not to speak about the incredible platform that can eat the shit of the real life. And it's a big business. But now we can talk more about the business.
But some time ago, Monty Videnius was visiting Mikkeli, and he told that when his investing company Open Ocean Capital is doing a review on a company, he is the guy who wants to understand the technology. If he cannot, they won't invest. So someone actually is doing that.
Some of them, yeah, that sounds good, but in our experience, they only few of them are really investing. They only want to know business case, how fast you can grow and what you need for that. You will go on. Maybe I should go.
Yeah, you know, Montevideo is like a real techie or real cheap.
Yeah.
By the way, how long the process can be with business angel? Have you some examples? Like,
What do you mean, like?
when you are starting the negotiations, like seeing one business angel in for example, networking event, and then you're starting your negotiations on investing into your company, and then at the end you have like agreement of some amount of money of investment. Have you heard any examples? Just to know, like here to younger entrepreneurs to be how long could it be?
To be honest, since we haven't succeeded so far, we haven't seen that the phase that where the money comes in. However, I would imagine, based on the encounters with investors we've had so far, is that they make their initial decision rather fast, and it takes 1 to 2 weeks for them to decide are they going to go or not go. And from that point, I would imagine it's an additional 2 to 3 weeks. They want to learn to understand the team or the entrepreneur better. They want to understand the business, and then it's basically paperwork. But I would say, I would imagine it's something between 4 to 6 weeks in total.
Now we talking about the angels.
Yeah.
What's the institutional?
They are much longer.
This is years.
Because I was just thinking about like trust, like when you are talking with business angel, could he or she give some money to your company, so invest some amount of money? There must be some kind of trust between you and the angel, and how long it takes. That was my idea. Like, but there's no trust if there's no profit. Well, it's more about the profitable business ideas. Yeah, not about heart or trust. Or is it? What do you think?
I was thinking totally something else.
Okay.
But it depends on the person. I mean, quite a lot of time we have discussed with a couple of people who, when we start to pitch, they say that I can give you $500,000 within 15 minutes. But you have to make it clear, why would I do that? Did you manage to do it? We are still talking to those guys. That was more than 2 years ago. But some of them, they can decide very extremely fast. But usually I think it's like this. And we got several meetings, like you said, they want to know what kind of person you are. But most of it is, I think it's based on how they feel. Most of them.
So it's still about heart, not about like information in the company. It's about feeling.
There is a lot of feeling.
Yeah. there's a lot of appealing if you're giving a one €500,000 in 15 minutes. So, but how long is your like approximately the process in investor?
Usually it's around 3 months.
3 months.
Preparation might take more, but 2 to 3 months it's a okay time for companies. Longer might be too much. Shorter needs a lot of organization and some preparatory work, like well done preparatory work. Then what we've seen, of course, it depends on the kind of investors. One note on the guy who's saying he can give you $500,000 in 15 minutes. Maybe he has an ego problem as first step.
Can be.
Because it's the good angels usually they're quite smooth when it comes to money. They don't show it off.
Yeah.
So it comes, they do it, they already made that decision, and that might. I think the time it's related to how much that amount is important for in the portfolio of the single angel. Let's say if I want to invest €1,000 in your company, for me it's a lot. It would take maybe more than that. If I don't know, Bill Gates want to invest €100,000 in you, it just might be like, okay, I do it now because this is a fun concept. So it's really a relative thing, and I guess it comes with experience of the angel. And it also then it's on the company to understand, is this an angel I want to work with or not? So is this a nice process or is this very unpleasant? Because if a person gives you, €100,000, it need to be sure, because it's going to be part of an interesting partnership after that.
It's like marrying someone.
Yeah, it's worse. You put more money in that. It depends.
Yeah, it depends.
I might have a little bit stupid question because I don't have a business background. Let's say your angel invests at €500,000 of your company or something. It can be either kind of bigger questions aim at. What kind of, in what kind of way they are expecting returns? How will they get their money back from the company with the interest?
So depends on the kind of company. Returns are usually generated through an exit. Exiting means that as a shareholder you get out of the capital table, and then you get your money for the value of for the percentage you own of the company. So one option is, for example, M&A. So you invest in a new app, then Facebook comes and say, I give you 100 million for this app. You own 10% of the company, so you get 10% 100 million. And then you're really lucky. Companies, especially very successful tech companies, more traditional companies, they used to go in the past more to the stock exchange, so it's an initial public offering, and that generates the possibility to sell the shares. Or then, for example, with investor, with this secondary market, as an investor, you can go there and say, I want to sell my shares, and then if someone buys them, you get the money. Especially in startups, exit is actually really difficult. And it's really unliquid things. You can't, right? If you go on Nordea and you invest in shares, you can just click and you sell them. It doesn't work the same way in startups. It might take a lot of time.
Okay, other comments or questions? Antti?
What do you guys think? What kind of rate of return the angels and other investors are looking for? How they depend on the people, how they present their money and see the risk of angels?
I think the average in Europe was really somewhere for angels 2 or 3 times the amount invested, depending on the portfolio of the angel.
How fast?
Around 10 years or more. It takes a lot of time. As Ari Koronen, which is one of the bigger angels in Finland, we always advise a good portfolio for an angel. An angel is like more than 30 companies, because you need to balance the risk. So if you want to put 20,000 euros in more than 30 companies, for that might be around. But then of course you have good options to get money back.
It's it's not that high number, as just you see that there's a huge risk
Yeah.
on those companies.
The thing is, there is a hype in the startup world, and it's really popular now to make a startup and to look for these great returns, because there have been some really successful cases. The truth is that those are unicorns. They're really, really rare. And of course it can happen, and you're happy if it happens, but the majority of startups, they're average. So it's a lot of hard work and a lot of time. And it's not a bad thing to be average. It's normal to be average. So I think,
Yeah, I more or less agree. We have discussed with some Chinese investors who have a lot of higher figures. They are expecting 5 or 10 times within 3 years. But I don't know if they can get it anywhere. But usually, yes.
If you have 10 companies and 8 of them goes bust, then
Yeah, it makes sense.
you get it. 3 of those are successful, then the rate of return for the whole portfolio is not very high.
No.
Okay, you have not been successful, but what is the best story you can tell from this negotiation?
Business angels.
Yes.
Best. Maybe for one of them was the meeting with the guy who really had the company. But then our business idea was completely lost during those days. I don't know if people has an idea, because most of the stories are at the moment still going on.
Yeah, what about the Chinese? I mean, that was a pretty good story. How you met them and so forth.
I'm in the taxi.
Yeah.
Okay, but it didn't. Okay, yes.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
Is that dirty?
No, it's not.
it's a sound involved.
That will make me a saint. Yes, that happened in Lahti in Nordic. No, Cleanek version. It was 2 years ago or something. Whole system was over, and there was a bunch of Chinese in front of the Siberius tower looking for taxi, and they were thinking that then somebody's going to pick them up, but that wasn't. It was not organized. So I went to talk to them, and I said, "Can I help you or something?" They said, "I'm waiting for a car to come." They said, "There's no car coming." And I explained. Then they said, "Oh, we had to go to hotel, check out very fast, and catch the train, and then the plane." I said, "Okay, let me help you." I ordered a taxi, even though I didn't have money. I still don't have any money. I took them in the car, and took them to the hotel, and said goodbye. And then inside the car we were telling a little bit stories, because I used to travel in China in my past life. That's another story. I was a very interesting person there in kind of competitions and so far, but that's not the point here. Then we changed the business cards, and they were very humble and thanked me a lot, and they disappeared. Then like week after that, one of them sent me an email, and he happened to be the guy who has 1.2 billion US dollars looking for investors, especially the companies like us. And then I skipped already many stages because I helped them by catching a bit from Siberius tower to a hotel inside Lahti. And the story goes a lot of more, but then at the end, like in the other cases, then our business and our vision was too small for them. So that's why the discussion was stopped. But yeah, it was like, you can never know where you can meet these kind of people. Because they look like students, to be honest. I was just thinking that I will help the poor guys, maybe they don't even have the money. But then, after all, it was the other way around.
Networking story.
Yeah.
So this is like one learning, think big, like
Yes, and don't underestimate. That's also.
And then there is one learning, talk to Chinese people who look like students,
Basically, you can
and order a taxi for those people. Okay.
To be a bunch of Chinese students to taxi.
Might take a while till you get there.
Any comments or questions? I'm still writing this learning here.
What do you think, how big percentage of shares you should be willing to give to an investor in early on?
Should be less than 50. Usually I think we will start negotiating something around 10, 20, maybe. That's what we have been talking at the moment. And they are not very aggressive actually to take a lot of shares, of course. That means that they have to take responsibility for the operation of those things as well. So depends on your valuation, of course, and your story behind that. And everything is connected to everything.
I would like to comment on that big deadline there, because like Andre kind of said, especially Finnish investors, they're rather careful. You're not going to find an investor that's going to invest in an IT company 2 to 5 million euros just like that. It's not happening. So therefore, if you're looking for Finnish money, you have to think reasonable. You have to spend a lot of time making your business plan and doing your calculations and doing your assumptions how this could work out, what the actual result and what is your actual growth potential. Because if you think big, way too big, nobody's going to buy that idea. They think that you're crazy. So it has to be reasonable. On the other hand, if you have a chance to reach international investors, they're looking for something that they are willing to invest in quite a large amount of money because they expect a large return of investment rather fast. So these investors, they are not willing to take high risk in the extent that some foreign investors will do.
Just wrote here an appendix to think big learning other than Finnish investors.
Yeah. That's at least our experience.
Yeah. So the Finnish investors, they are getting scared if you are thinking big.
Well, I mean, you say that if you tell the Finnish investor I need 500,000, they're like, what?
Mm.
And if you take an international investor and you said I need 500,000, it's like, what?
Mm.
500,000? You're gonna buy a car, what?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of, you know.
You have to be two-minded.
Yeah, you have to try to figure out what kind of investor you have in front of you, which is really hard. Like Tom said, they may look like Chinese students, but they still have managing $1.9 billion portfolio. So.
It probably depends a lot about the size of their portfolio. They have a portfolio of million euros and the 100,000 euros is lost.
That's like Andre said, it depends how much money they have, what is their capital and how they're going to share it. They don't always tell it to you firsthand. Sometimes they do, but not maybe
Okay, other questions or comments? I got your website behind you. Do you want to tell us something about your company?
I already told something. Maybe you can
go and look.
Try to find out yourself.
Do it yourself.
Yes. It doesn't have the latest ones there because we have another project. But there are actually a couple of quite good case studies. There are use cases at the moment, so they are maybe the best ones that we have, so you can understand what we have done. But the technology and all these platform stories don't go there. I don't know even, hope we don't even have them.
I think we've seen quite a lot, but there's still a bit of that.
Yeah. But go and check these, of course, and we have also Facebook. That is more funny. Our Facebook profile is that we are telling stories about people and normal life. Sometimes they do even funny things. We are not so serious on Facebook. Try to be serious here in the LinkedIn.
Okay. I think now it's time to thank you, Tommy, and Mr. Timo T. Because we have still 5 minutes time, and we have few audio accelerator teams here. Now it's chance to give a pitch or tell something about your ideas if you want. I think there is in every team has something to show at this stage, or at least to do event. You have don't tease me. You have an event in this evening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mom Halloween party.
Yeah, but it's for all students. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you are.
Don't go there. Don't go to that event. That's the best advertisement for that event. Don't go there. Don't push the red button. Yeah, I have this one.
Yeah, if you're wearing a Halloween suit, then we might not see who you are.
So look stupid and go there. Yeah. Is there any like any news from other teams you would like to tell us? Some demo version of your services or something. It's really good chance to tell something about you and your ideas. Okay. You don't want to get the 3 minutes on the stage here. Thank you. It's already fine. No. Okay.
Well, no. What I can say about what is on the board there, I think, is a general problem with startup funding. For instance, like venture capital investment firms, it's easier for them to invest 1 million and upwards from that than like 100,000, because you still have to do the same amount of work for investing the 100,000 than for the million. And then that's the beauty of crowdfunding, that startups are now able to probably start with smaller sums of money, because they come from a bigger crowd of people. So my advice to the observers would be to go to investor.
Point taken. Andrea, how much that cost you?
There was a hidden advertisement.
Ah,
Go on the page.
But now that you got it, you're not gonna pay. We're
I
first
get
for the
100,000.
Yeah.
the easiest year you ever made.
Well, what I like to add here, like to this topic, is what I mean is great idea should attract users and attract this mass by itself. And like it's not that good to hire an investor at the early stages, because the whole kind of
then you can close it. Like, okay, if it takes some time, but in these kind of entrepreneurship, when mobile apps, startups, they often want to pick the biggest part, and then it means that you don't control it. So if idea is great, it will grow. It's like possible to convince an investor in idea, but it should have the core to attract the people. It's like call to action. With Instagram, when it was easier to share photos through the Instagram than in Facebook. That's why Instagram grew that rapidly. The same idea.
Yeah.
Very important.
Thank you. Any comments?
So basically, what I think from that was referring to Montevidenius was that why they were...
He's your idol.
in making money.
Yeah.
Anyways, they waited so long that they were in a position to get a good deal. They could afford that, so finding that kind of position is quite good if you can afford to get your product in that state that you don't necessarily need investors, so you can set the deal and they can take it or leave.
So what was the sum or amount of money they got from MySQL?
I think I remember the numbers. I think on the first round it was something like 1 or 2 millions. It wasn't that much. In the first round where they found money.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And there's all the other company too. Was it Oracle?
Oracle, yeah, 1 billion or
1
something.
billion.
So, I think it's time to go home or to go to Mom's Halloween party, if you have the mask. Thank you, Nora and Andrea from Investor, and thank you, Mr. Tommi Kainalainen from Observice and Mr. Timo Paatti. Now the name is released. And thank you for coming today here to this event. And welcome to our demo day, Ahjo Accelerator Program Demo Day event on 12th of November. It's Wednesday, 2 weeks from this day. And the place is somewhere in Mum campus area. We will reveal the place later on. We are sorting it out. Okay. Thank you very much and go. Go. We'll still get a picture from our learning. So they could be on Sunday our doings. Yeah. So when you're going to you would want to meet me here and give the presentation, or
anybody for me to just take a feedback.
Actually, we were supposed to have the teaching competition.
Yes. Thank you. We are going to have it, but we haven't decided today.
So you can give the presentation there, and before that you can tell the idea to me or to anyone in the smaller group, of course.
Well, already asked.
For example, in the next week.
Yeah. It's like I want to check whether I should continue or.
Okay. In the next week we can sort out the date. Just a minute.
I will give it on. I will make it on. I can make it on the weekend, so we'll ready. Yeah. It would be a bit crappy, but what I want is just video. I have a lot of code, anything and things like this.
Yeah. Just a minute. I will take the